Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about something that can be a bit tricky for English learners, phrasal verbs. So phrasal verbs are a combination of a main verb and one or more particles, and they can change the meaning of the main verb. For example, break down means to stop working or functioning, while look up means to search for information. These can be difficult to understand and use, but don't worry. With some practice, you'll get the hang of it. In this vlog, I'll be going over some common phrasal verbs and giving you examples of how to use them in sentences. So let's get started. Abide by. To respect or obey a decision, a law, or a rule. For example, if you want to keep your job here, you must abide by our rules. Account for. To explain or give a reason. For example, I hope you can account for the time you were out. Add up. To make sense or seem reasonable. For example, the facts in the case just don't add up. Advise against. To recommend not doing something. For example, I advise against walking alone in this neighborhood. Agree with. To have the same opinion as someone else. For example, I agree with you. I think you should go as well. Allow for. To take into consideration. For example, we need to allow for unexpected charges along the way. Appeal to. To plead or make a request. For example, he appealed to the court to change its decision, or to be attractive or interesting. For example, a vacation of sunbathing doesn't appeal to me. Apply for. To make a formal request for something, a job, permit, loan, etc. For example, he applied for a scholarship for next semester. Back away. To move backwards in fear or dislike. For example, when he saw the bear, he backed away in fright. Back down. To withdraw, concede defeat. For example, local authorities backed down on their threats to build on that part of the beach. Back up. To give support or encouragement. For example, I'm going to be very strict with him. I hope you'll back me up on this. Or to make a copy of a file, a program, etc. For example, you should back up all your computer files in a secure location. Bank on. To base your hopes on something or someone. For example, I am banking on you to help with the charity event. Blackout. To faint or lose consciousness. For example, Jenna fell in the parking lot and blacked out. Block off. To separate using a barrier. For example, the police blocked off the street after the explosion. Blow up. To explode. For example, Tommy blew up the red balloon. Or to get angry. For example, don't blow up at me. It's not my fault. Boil down to. To be summarized as. For example, it all boils down to who has more power. Boot up. To start a computer by loading an operating system or program. For example, you need to boot up your computer before you begin to work. Break away. To separate from a crowd. For example, one of the wolves broke away from his pack. Break down. To go out of order or cease to function. For example, the washing machine broke down, so we had to call in the repair technician. Or to lose control of one's emotions. John broke down when he heard the news. Break into. To enter by force. For example, burglars broke into my car last night. Break out. To start suddenly. For example, rioting broke out after the government raised the fuel prices again. Break out of. To escape from a place by force. For example, several prisoners broke out of the jail. Break up. To come to an end. A marriage or a relationship. For example, she broke up with Daniel after dating him for 5 years. Bring up. To raise. For example, Sarah is bringing up her children by herself. Brush up on. To improve or refresh one's knowledge of something. For example, I must brush up on my French before going to Paris next month. Bump into. To meet by chance or unexpectedly. For example, I bumped into Adam at the bank. He says hello. Burnout. Stop working or become exhausted from overworking. For example, the light bulb burnt out. Please change it. Or she needs to work fewer hours, otherwise she will burn out. Call back. To return a phone call. For example, could you please call me back in 10 minutes? Call off. To cancel. For example, the game was called off because of bad weather. Calm down. To become more relaxed, less angry or upset. For example, it took Kylie several hours to calm down after she saw the accident. Carry on. To continue. For example, the soldiers carried on walking in order to get to their post before dark. Carry out. To do something as specified, a plan, an order, a threat. For example, his orders were carried out to the letter. Or to perform or conduct a test or experiment. For example, that company does not carry out tests on animals. Check-in. To register at a hotel or airport. For example, they said I must check in at least 3 hours before my flight. Check out. To pay one's bill and leave. For example, Donna checked out of the hotel this morning. Or to investigate. For example, I don't know if this price is correct. I'll check it out online. Clam up. To refuse to speak. For example, when the police started asking questions, the suspect clammed up. Clamp down on. To act strictly to prevent something. For example, the local authorities have decided to clamp down on illegal parking in handicapped parking places. Come across. To find by chance. For example, I was cleaning up and came across some old photos of you. Or to appear, seem, or make an impression. For example, the politician came across as a complete fool during the TV interview. Come forward. To present oneself. For example, has the owner of the winning lotto ticket come forward? Count on. To rely or depend on for help. For example, you can count on me to keep your secret. Cut down on. To reduce in number or size. For example, I have decided to cut down on the amount of sweets I eat. Cut out. To remove using scissors. For example, she cut out a coupon from the newspaper. Or to stop doing something. For example, you need to cut out all red meat from your diet. Deal with. To handle, take care of a problem or situation. For example, Catherine is not good at dealing with stress. Die down. To calm down or become less strong. For example, after the storm died down, we went outside to see the damage it had caused. Do without. to manage without. For example, she didn't get a salary this month, so she'll have to do without extra treats. Drag on, to last longer than expected. For example, the suspect's trial dragged on longer than we had expected. Draw up, to write a contract, a agreement, or a document. For example, they drew up a contract and had me sign it. Dress up, wear elegant clothes. For example, their wedding gave us a chance to dress up and get out of the house. Drop in, to visit, usually on the way somewhere. For example, why don't you drop in to see us on your way home? Drop off, to deliver something or someone. For example, I'll drop off the papers later today. Or to fall asleep. For example, I often drop off in front of the TV. Thanks for watching. I hope you find this video helpful in understanding and using phrasal verbs. Remember that practice makes a man perfect. So make sure to incorporate these phrasal verbs into your speaking and writing as much as possible. Don't forget to check out my other videos for more English language tips and tricks. And if you have any questions or would like to see a specific topic covered in a future video, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in my next video. Until then, goodbye and stay safe.